Mine tastes like mask.
Mine tastes like cotton.
They should flavor these better.
Yeah, I thought it was blue raspberry.
Mine's supposed to be blue raspberry too, but it just tastes like patriotism.
Tastes like air. Patriotism.
Okay. Are we using that or what?
I don't know.
Hi guys, Stanley Orr here, and in today's episode of Caffeinated Dragonware, I wanted to go through something that I thought was pretty special and unique. So, as you've probably seen in our opening, we have this character, this dragon guy, working at a computer, and that's like our mascot. Originally we were going to make a game where you play as a dragon running a cafe. It's like a restaurant manager simulation game with a few little gimmicks and catches in it. But the point is, we wound up going through a few character designs and settled on this guy right here. And I thought, you know what, he would make a good mascot, and Lisa agreed. We were coming up with names and stuff, and then she suggested using Charles because then the C and the D would make him Charles the Dragon. CD. Caffeinated Dragonware, CD. It would go with our name, name of the channel. I'm kind of rambling. We'll edit this down. Anyways, I realized I had a very, very, very basic character reference sheet, but I didn't have anything solid for it, so I decided, here, I'll sit down and design a full-fledged character sheet for him. And yeah, this is what you're watching right now. I started out with me working in Animator. It's as you've seen in my other video where I worked on the mechs, it's a free CGI creation software that I use. I can swear by it as far as for simple drawing reference stuff goes, and I'm using it right now for that very purpose. The basic idea is to help me out with perspective and proportion since I'm not the best at that, and it helps me out to create very rough drawing figures, kind of like what you see when you order drawing mannequins. You know, those wooden dummies that you can pose and do things with, and yeah, I figured I could use that to help me proportion out him properly. I had to tweak him a bit, with the front-facing view. I think I drew him too bricky. He is a very stout fellow, but not too pudgy. And I had a bit of trouble with the snout extending out from it, trying to match the shape that I had in mind, especially with the teeth where they sort of form that jag, that stylistic jag that I like, instead of having actual physical cones sticking out from his mouth. That took a bit of finagling, but in the end I was able to come up with something pretty neat. The lower jaw was the same sort of principle, of course, starting out with a box and then extending the faces, extruding them outwards, and cutting them here or there, subdividing them, making it more of a shape. It's kind of like working with digital clay if you think of it that way. And yeah, his eyes, what I like the most about his eyes, Charles is always wall-eyed. That's just the look we gave him. And I know it looks kind of derpy, but that's kind of what we were going for. This coffee-addicted game development dragon, he just looks sort of goofy and fun. I think it's really interesting. And you'll notice when we finish assembling it, what I'm doing here is creating a rough model, and all the individual pieces will be distributed later to individual components, and then that will be what I use to string it up on a skeleton of the figure. Now the thing with this is I had to be very careful with the proportions and everything. What I used is the fully assembled model as a reference. It makes it so much easier to work with. I could spend the time to actually calculate it out to minute details, but since this is just a drawing reference model and the actual CGI is not what I'm going for the final look, it's okay to be a little slapdash with it. You don't have to be super precise, you just have to be close enough so that it functions for its purpose. And skinning the model, although it sounds gruesome, is actually pretty fun. What you do is you color code the individual components, like let's say the tail here. I select the bone color to represent each bone joint, and then I basically spray paint the tail to match the color that it's blue, orange, red, green. The sections of the tail that are color coded match what bone is in control of them, dictating how the puppet is formed. So now I have the character fully rigged up, and it's time for my favorite part, posing. I didn't even wind up using all of these poses in the final drawings as you see because I ran out of time. But it gets the idea across, and one of them I did choose to color. I decided I'd color my favorite pose and leave the rest in black and white. That's further down the road though. And before you know it, bada bing, bada boom, I went ahead and rendered the poses as single PNG images. All that was left now is to trace over them and choose my favorites. So for that, for my art program, normally I'd use Toon Boom Harmony, but I am still waiting for my desktop computer to ship in.
And since I'm up here in Canada, waiting for it to come from the US through the United States Postal Service, it'll be a huge mess. I figured it was much better just to use
Krita. Krita's a great free art program. I highly endorse it. And then, simple as that, I used the character models as I intended to, as a reference for shadow and lighting later on, but more importantly as a reference for posing. And as you can see here, I'm filling in the blank where his neck would be. I decided to skip out the neck entirely, and there's a few joints that are missing and stuff. Like, you see his fingers are not actually there, and his wrist is floating in the middle of the air. This sort of stuff is up to personal preference, you know? So like, if you have trouble creating fingers for your character and posing that, create individualized fingers for your character model, totally. It makes it super easy for you to work with. And if that's what it takes for you to have accurate poses, then that's what it takes, and you should totally go for it. Anyways, once I was done drawing in the characters, drawing him in all his various Charles poses, I went ahead and chose my favorite one for coloring, and I chose this one in particular where he's walking and waving. I thought that was the most lively and energetic, and I liked it a lot. For shadows, what I like doing is setting the layer to multiply, but basically it makes the shadows more rich and vibrant instead of just like plain darker version of the normal thing. I mean, you could do that too. I wouldn't argue against that, but personally I find it much better when you create shadows in a cartoon drawing especially, to have it a dark blue or purple or red or something that contrasts with the main image and makes it super rich and gives it a certain tone. Anyways, once I was done with that, behold, we have Charles the Dragon, a game development programmer type dragon who works at a computer office and sips on coffee all day. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed us. We post videos every other Saturday. And next up, it's my wife Lisa's turn to post a video, so stick around for that. She'll always have something fun and interesting for you guys. And that's about it. So talk to you later. I hope you have a good one.